Okay, folks, this is Steve with my audio stuff, and I have another video for everybody here. Just wanted to talk a little bit about tape formulations and the cassette tapes that are available, mostly on eBay. Fact of the matter is that there aren't really hardly, not to say that there aren't some, but there aren't hardly really any manufacturers of tapes anymore, cassette tapes. Doesn't mean they're not going to make a big comeback like vinyl. Actually, I think cassette tapes really are, as long as we're not attacked by the Red Chinese and destroyed by them. These may make a comeback. But my experience with all of this is simply this. Tapes last, even brand new, virgin, untouched like these are. They're really only going to last maybe 25, 30 years, and then the emulsion, the glue that they use to hold the magnetic particles to the tape begin to break down. The magnetic particles begin to break down all sorts of things. And so if you buy some of these tapes as new old stock on eBay, even though they're in the package and you take them out of the package and they're virgin and all of that, they generally don't record very well in your decks. You'll have dropouts, channel imbalances, and you probably won't be able to bias them. And you'll rack your brains thinking, gee, what's wrong with my deck? You know, is it my azimuth adjustment, biasing, internal adjustments, oscillator, all of that? And it has nothing to do with any of that. It's that you're putting old tape, it may be brand new old tape in your deck, and it's broken down enough at the microscopic level to where you can't really record on it. The tapes that I've had the best performance with are these right here. If you're interested, the Maxell URs, you can still get these. These were made late 90s into the early 2000s by Maxell, I believe. Some people don't like the UR. These are just normal bias standard ferric tapes, but they record superbly. Well-engineered tape, very uniform. I can bias these quite easily on my decks. And aside from being a little noisy because they're ferric tapes, they're really excellent. You can record them with Dolby B or C, and that'll pretty much annihilate the noise. Fuji's aren't bad either, the high bias. If you get tapes made in the late 90s, you're generally still going to be in good shape, and they'll generally record well. Tapes that I would not recommend would be these right here. Super tape. I mean, they're nice for maybe putting on your bookcase. Maybe you can, I don't know, put them in a picture frame. You know, this is Radio Shack Super Tape. But even in the box with the wrappers on, virgin tapes, I don't recommend these at all. These are probably 30 years or more in age, and they've broken down enough to where the emulsion isn't any good anymore. The ferric particles have begun to break down, and so if you put these in your deck, you generally won't be able to bias them. They'll have dropouts, uneven left and right channel distribution. This one, the Sony's HF are not bad. Maybe these are just higher quality, but you can certainly try these. But the ones that I've had the best luck with are right here. And again, if you're going to do tapes, I'd probably really just stick with Maxell, maybe some Bias F tapes, but these are generally your best, and you can get the high bias or chromium dioxide equivalent of these that were made in the late 90s, early 2000s, and you're generally going to be really good. I've had excellent results with these particular tapes, but once again, I'd probably stay away from the super tapes, Radio Shack. However, let me say this. In the late 90s, early 2000s, Radio Shack repackaged their tapes, and I'm not sure if they got a new vendor to manufacture their tapes for them, but they were really good tapes. So if you can get some of these, they're not going to say super tape anymore, but some of the later tapes from Radio Shack, dating from the late 90s, early 2000s, they're a lot like these in quality, and they will generally record and play back just fine. Well, that's all I have. This is for my audio stuff. Check out my other YouTube site, A Father's Devotion.